Hey, welcome to my garden studio. What I have here is a lovely leaf. It's actually an old leaf, it's busy fading out, but I'm going to use it as a textural item. It's got lovely texture, as you can see, these little veins that happen on the side. So we're going to use that, but first of all, this video is a short video except for the drying time. So I've just got acrylic, a pour section of acrylic on there, acrylic white, and I'm trying to encourage you to use strange material, like mixing this with baking powder, mixing it with white substance. This happens to be bicarbonate of soda. I think they use it for baking. People use it for baking. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick it in here. I don't know what it's going to do with the water in the acrylic, but what I'm going to do is mix it up, and let's see what happens. What is happening is it's going to turn into a paste. So you don't have to go and buy expensive paste. You know, it's good. Expensive paste, or paste from the art shop, no problem. I'm not discouraging that. What I'm saying is use your imagination. Come up with all sorts of things. It's actually getting frothy. There are bubbles coming off this. So that's crazy. So what I'm doing is I'm going to actually need more of this. So I'm going to just pour some more out. This is normal white acrylic, and I'm going to pour out quite a lot. Okay, just like that. I'm going to add more bicarbonate of soda. I'm going to actually add lots because I want this to be really pasty, very thick. So I'll mix it up using a palette knife, mix it up, and I'm mixing it on the board that I'm actually going to use. So that's becoming really nice and pasty. I'm not sure how long this is going to take to dry because it's I want it to be thick. The whole surface of the board must be thick. And mix it up quite thoroughly. You don't want any dry parts, you know, powdery parts. Mix it up quite thoroughly like that. Yeah, and then what I'm going to do now is I'm going to spread it onto my board. And I have an idea of what it's going to turn out to be, but it is quite experimental. That's really the art of doing paintings and stuff, is to be experimental, try different materials, very lightly pressing the palette knife down, not there, but here, very lightly, getting a little skim of paste. So that's normal acrylic white with bicarb of soda, and I've never done this before, so I'm not even sure what's going to happen. I'm going to get myself a border. I know I'm going to color this later, so you keep going and keep watching and see what happens. It's going to be crazy. I'm kind of rolling the palette knife in so that I'll get this, I would say it's about a 2 millimeters thick, and just rolling it in, getting an edge on this, like a little border, that happens on the edge of the painting. Man, I'm excited to see what this turns out to be. Doesn't have to be absolutely flat. So you can see there's a layer of this paint on the board, and you also don't need to cover the entire board. Let's try that, see what happens. That could be quite interesting. Okay, and what I'm going to do now is I'm getting the edge watching the painting all the time. Just watch the painting all the time. Try not to pick the palette knife up, because it gives it another kind of mark, which would also be interesting, but not for this painting. So I'm going to try to get a consistency. Okay, put that in the water, and then I'm taking my leaf that I found on one of the plants in the garden, and I'm just going to press it in here. So I'm going to press it down, and it could be a complete failure, or it could be amazing. Getting this edge down, going to get an imprint in here, right round the whole leaf, to try to not move the leaf too, don't turn the leaf too much, just hold it down with the one hand, and then I'm pressing it fairly hard to get the imprint into the paint. I think it's going to take a little bit of time to dry, so maybe you want to do it on an art day and then leave the paint to dry completely. But I'm really pressing it down into there. You don't know what you're getting. At this point I can't see what I'm getting, but I do want the edges of this leaf to come out. I'm going to actually work it in with a little brush, the back of the handle of the brush, like that, to get my shape, to get the edge right around. Maybe you want to take a little peek at it to see if it's working, because I really don't know what's going to happen here. And I'll press this down really hard, like that. And all it has to do is read as a leaf. We're going to end up coloring it, and that could be, well, quite interesting. I don't know. Just experiment. That's why I like using board. I also paint with canvas, but board is cheaper, and it's not about the money, in my opinion. It's not about the money. It's about the fact that you can free yourself to experiment, because it's not expensive. And once you've done it once and it looks good and it works, then work on a canvas, you know. So yeah, let's get this edge in. I want a nice lip that happens here. I'm going to show you this little edge that happens here on this little bubble there, right there. That's looking good, because it's going to give me the complete shape of this leaf. So that's it. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to let it just settle. Let's get some edge on here. That's nice, all the way around. Very, 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 very easy. Just a step-by-step, a fun project. If it doesn't work, not that serious. It's not a loss or anything. It's an experiment. I love experimenting with materials, different materials. Then I just press it down, make sure that's totally on to the board. And here we go. Let's see what happens. Try and peel it off. See, it's getting drag it like that. Yeah, just like that. Peel it off. Okay, so now I'm going to leave it like that, because I have an idea in mind. What we're going to do now is take another plant, and we're putting it in here. So this is a conifer, and we see what happens if I do that. Put a little bit of a shape in there. So what we're going to do now, I'm taking my anything flat. I'm just going to push it in like that. Okay? Get it get an imprint of the leaf in the paste. Get it into the paste. The paste is very wet at the moment, so that's holding a nice imprint. Try not to move it too much, and what we have is a strong imprint there. I'm pressing it down pretty tightly to get an imprint, and it actually is drying quite quickly. Can't believe it. This area here is drying quite quickly. Unbelievable. Okay, and I'm going to lift this off and just see what it's done. There's some interesting marks there. So there's some interesting marks. These marks are going to work for me now. Okay, and then let's see what happens. I don't know. There are a couple of bumps here that I don't really want. So we've got bumps over here. I'm going to very lightly just take your palette knife. Follow the grain or the direction of the leaf. I don't want to interrupt that line. So I'm going to follow the grain of the leaf like that and take it just a little bit off, which will give me maybe a better mark. Now you might want to see this area here. This area right here, I want to redefine this area. I'm going to continue this line across here. So I'm going to give it a little bit of a texture mark. Okay, and then there we go, like that. And that's going to be quite interesting. When that dries, we're going to skin it with a bit of paint and see what happens. I don't know what's going to happen. It's going to be fun. Now that it's dry, I'm going to be using straight blue with a lot of water and just giving this painting a dimension. I'm not sure exactly how things are going to turn out, but it is an abstract painting. It gives you an idea of what the leaf impression has done. I'm going to get a bit of water. So used a bit of the blue. Now I'm going to give it a lot of water, which will allow the texture to show through. And then we're going to let that dry and see what comes out of it. Could be a failure, could be something quite interesting. I'm just using the blue and the burnt sienna. Burnt sienna is going to turn the blue into a kind of green. And I want it to sit flat so that the paint color falls into all the cavities, and then leave it to dry. See how it turns out. Don't touch it too much, just let it do its own thing. So the paint is going to fall into these cavities. Then we've got one more step and should be finished. There we go. I'm going to take some sandpaper and I'm going to just tear off a little bit and accentuate the ridges of this leaf. It's a horrible sound, like a grating sound. Anyway, I'll keep talking and then maybe you won't hear the sound so much. It's like scratching your fingers on a board. But what it does is it accentuates, takes the tip of the paint off the ridges. And what that's doing is it's giving me shapes and forms, which is really what I want. I want that. Horrible sound. Sorry. I'm going to just dust this off. Just dust this off, and then I'm going to go So what we've done is we've picked up from the middle tone to the light, and then what I'm going to do, I'm going to try some. I really don't know what I'm doing. I really do not know what I'm doing. I don't have a plan. But I'm going to mix up a dark color, and I don't want it to be black, so I'm really anti-black color paint. I like to add a little bit of color to the black. Black has its place in terms of paint. So I'm just going to add a little bit of blue. Doesn't make much difference, but it's still okay. And I'm going to try to give myself a form shadow area like this. So I've got light and dark coming in. So light and then dark. Yeah, and that's brushing just very lightly with a watered down dark color to give myself, to push this, really gives us a strong. Okay, there we go. For now, I think the main idea of this video is to just give you a sense that you can do almost anything with texture. Pressing the leaf into the texture and then giving yourself the option of doing whatever. Take it back again, put more sandpaper here. And what this does is gives you an idea. I'm going to put my favorite frame around it, and that's just a pretty little picture. That's a pretty picture, just like it is. It's cutting down a little bit with this inner. Let's see what it looks like that. No, it needs the inner, and the inner is the right color, but that perfectly by accident. So I think that's quite cute. And it really is easy to do. Something that's really easy to do, giving you a little break from trying to paint all realistically and stuff. So there you have it. Thank you. See you in the next video.